This is my grandfather, Aaron Aliber, and this is my grandmother, Ida Aliber. They came from Lithuania. It was under the control of Russia then. They came looking for a better life. They came for better economic opportunities and to remove themselves from the oppression. Keene has a number of immigrant groups who have contributed to the city, including the Irish, the French Canadians, the Italians, and the Greeks. Nothing had ever been done about the Jewish immigrant group that came to Keene starting in the 1880s.
We were approached about a year and a half ago about doing an exhibit in connection with the 100th anniversary of the synagogue in Keene. We realized there was a big story to tell here. Many of these families started out as peddlers or junk dealers in Keene, but practicing their customs and educating their children was extremely important to them. So they, as soon as they had enough money, they would open shops, in many cases clothing stores or grocery stores, and we wanted to show that story. And we were able to do it from the original families who actually founded the synagogues.
My grandparents, for example, were highly educated. But when my grandfather came to Keene in 1905, what was open to him, like the other Jewish immigrants that wanted to live in small towns, was being a peddler. I like to think of the peddlers as the early Amazon.com. They performed a valuable service in that transportation was not like it is today. And after a few years, my grandfather went on to become a shopkeeper. My own family store was called Cheshire Clothing. My grandfather is on the right, and my uncle Ben is on the left. The Jewish immigrants who came to Keene, most of them wanted to adhere to their religion and their religious tradition. By 1916, Keene decided to apply for a charter. There were 5 original charter members. Keene was the 5th city to have a chartered synagogue in the state of New Hampshire. I am the only descendant of the 5 members, of the 5 charter members, or any of the founders that remain in Keene. The standing of my grandparents and my parents in Keene certainly played a big role in allowing me to become mayor, be elected mayor of the city of Keene. My cousin Bob Aliber, a grandson of Aaron Aliber, like myself, was a prominent economist, and he's now a professor emeritus at the University of Chicago Booth School. And he has written a number of books. He's the current author of Manias, Panics and Crashes, a well-known book on the history of financial turmoil. There were, of course, other families. The Finkelstein family, a grandson, Ralph Livingston. Ralph graduated from Keene High School and went on to college and became an atomic scientist. And he worked on the Manhattan Project, the project that developed the bomb for World War II. Harry Tatelman, a son of a junk dealer and one of the founders of the Jewish community in Keene, in 1931 was elected president of his high school class at Keene High School. He went on to be a prominent Hollywood producer. He produced pictures with Richard Burton, Radon Rommel.
Your pulse and respiration are quite normal. Obviously you're shamming. Why?
I'm Forster.
Your ID tag reads Weatherly. JD.
That's my cover. I'm Forster, Captain, 53rd Combat Engineers.
He produced pictures with Jane Russell and with other prominent Hollywood stars. I feel that had this research not been done by myself and the other members of the Historical Society of Cheshire County, I think the memory of this community would have been lost.
No one had told this story or a story like this that we can tell for another community of this size in the country.